AroundTheAssociation.com, and this is the Around the Association podcast for Monday. I can't remember the date. Was it June 18th, 2018? We're 3 days away before the 2018 NBA draft taking place from Barclays Center in Brooklyn on Thursday night. So, with Jeff Weltman having his final draft press conference today, I decided to give you guys one final podcast before I do my final mock draft, which will be out on Wednesday, giving you guys my final thoughts on picks. So let's catch you up on everything going on, including some things around the NBA, some news that you might want to know about, and also some things I learned about from Jeff Weltman, as well as Wendell Carter, which I learned over a couple of days ago, and Collin Sexton, who was here on Saturday. So let's get into Collin Sexton and Wendell Carter. Wendell Carter worked out with the Magic on Friday, private workout. Pretty much the only guy, it's been what the Magic have been doing over the last couple of days, is been holding private workouts with players. Carter, 6'11", very versatile, a good-sized big man who can play, who can defend solidly. He's not as good of a defender as Mo Bamba or Jaren Jackson, but he's no slouch either. When you look at Wendell Carter, everything screams Al Horford. He has range out to the three-point line, is a very, very good rebounder, and also can block shots. Like I say, he doesn't block him with the frequency of Jackson or Bamba, but he blocks him to the point where it is considered a threat inside the low post. Now, he did play at Duke, and for those who know about Duke guys, they're not exactly the most, the best big men or the best NBA prospects every single year that come out of Duke University, but Carter's going to be a good one. I think he's one of those guys that he has a solid upside. I think he's going to be about what he did at Duke. I mean, he was almost a 16-10 guy at Duke. I see him being in the right system as a rookie, about 12, 13 points as a rookie, 8 to 8.5, maybe 9 rebounds a game, at least a block and a half a game. He has range out to the three-point line and also can do certain things. He's not the best ball handler in the world, but he's adequate enough. I mean, he's not going to be out there crossing people over, but he's also not going to lose the ball every time he gets as well, too. And speaking to Wendell was a kid that was recruited by Duke, not recruited by Duke, but recruited by Harvard, among other schools. Yes, Harvard, not Hartford. He's a very, very smart and very intellectual kid. Even said he wanted to be a Rhodes Scholar at one point. He wanted to be more than what basketball is all about. But the kid can play basketball. Like I say, he has a professional pedigree. His dad was Wendell Carter of the San Francisco 49ers, so he knows how to be a professional. And they say he's a very smart kid, very cerebral, and that should help out in the NBA, especially when it comes to picking up defenses and also logic when it comes to head coaches, because Steve Clifford does have a very interesting type of terminology when it comes to his defenses and how he runs things. On the defense side of the ball. Now, Collin Sexton was working out here Saturday. Sexton, the 6'3" point guard from Alabama, reminds a lot of people of Russell Westbrook. Now, when I say Russell Westbrook, we're not talking about current-day Russell Westbrook. When I think of Russell Westbrook and Collin Sexton, I think about when Russell first came in the league coming out of UCLA. A super athletic kid who can rebound, can score. And we're still worried about the little playmaking ability. We still question his playmaking ability, but Sexton from day one will defend, and he loves to defend. Remember, if you want to watch any game tape of him and how good he can defend, go watch the game tape of Alabama versus Oklahoma and see what he did to Trae Young. That's the reason why he's up there. Not to mention, if you want to find any other about his offensive ability, go check out the game against Minnesota where him and two other teammates almost beat a team full of 5 in Brooklyn in November when Alabama played Minnesota, and there was a big fight that broke out, and a whole bunch of guys fouled out, and players got hurt, and Alabama was down to 3 players, and Sexton almost beat a top 25 team at that point. Him and 2 other teammates. It was 5-on-3. It was some of the best basketball you ever watch at any point in time throughout the entire season this season. In Collin's time with us, Collin showed a lot of confidence and exuded the fact that he wants to win, and this guy is going to be a hound on both ends. Now, some people think he might be Elfrid Payton with a jump shot. I think he's a little bit more than Elfrid Payton. I think he comes in right now and he can make a humongous impact. If given the right system. I think if in Orlando's case, if he decides to play, if he's drafted here, Sexton could do a lot of the pick and roll, and he can drive to the basket. He's going to draw fouls. He wasn't exactly a big foul drawer in college, but remember, some things in college translate better into the pros. I think Sexton will be able to use his body because he has very good body control to draw fouls and also get in the paint. We still question his playmaking ability, but he says something he's worked on and something that he really didn't show at Alabama because he had to score a lot. The good thing with Collin Sexton is that Collin was playing with a coach that was familiar with the NBA, also a world champion in Avery Johnson, also an NBA coach of the he also had success in Brooklyn before he was fired. So a guy who's played in the NBA, coached in the NBA, and has an NBA championship pedigree and ring, was teaching Colin Sexton how to be a transition from high school to professional basketball. So Jeff Weltman did meet with the Magic media today, and really in this type of press conference or presser situation, the hand was not given. We're still 3 days away from the draft. Jeff pretty much answered the questions the way you expect them to. They're going to look at all options. They're going to figure out what's the best fit. They're going to look to see if any trade options. Nothing is not on the table. Could they move up? Yes. Could they move down? Yes. It all depends on how the draft falls into the hands of the Magic at 6. Now, I did ask him about using the second-round picks towards the G League, and he said yes. With the transition of the G League, it helps out teams by drafting second-round players because then you can get guys that can fit your system at the same time. You can grow and develop them out in Lakeland or wherever G League city there is. And so that's the good thing about Adam Silver, making these teams have mandatory G League teams to have the 1-to-1 ratio, because now second-round picks won't be stuck on European kids that won't come over. You're actually going to draft kids that will come over, kids that you can grow and develop, and also at the same time you can take a chance on a kid or two, and maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. It's just a second-round pick. Nothing's guaranteed. So let's take a look at the draft picks and the draft news as far as around the league. Michael Porter Jr., for those who don't know, did cancel his workout on Friday. The back checked out. From what I was told, the back did check out completely, and he's good to go. Now, where is he going to fall in the draft? Well, Michael Porter in the draft will basically make this thing very interesting. If the Kings take him at number 2, which could be, it's a high possibility because they do have a gaping hole at small forward. No offense, Justin Jackson, but Porter comes in and becomes the best scorer on the team automatically. He comes in with Buddy Hield. You come in with De'Aaron Fox. You have Skal Labissière. Remember, they're also high on Harry Giles, who missed the majority of the season with knee problems. Giles was the number 1 player in high school 2 years ago. You remember, and when people remember how good Harry Giles was a couple years ago, people forgot about him because he struggled his first year at Duke coming off the injuries and didn't play much last year. But just remember, a couple years ago, he was the best player in high school basketball. They have Willie Cauley-Stein, and I said, if Porter's the guy, it's not a bad fit. The real question is, will the Phoenix Suns take DeAndre Ayton at number 1? That's to be seen. In most indications, they will. But don't forget, Igor Koschev is Luka Doncic's head coach over for the Slovenian national team, and that if anybody can coach Luka Doncic, is the guy that knows him best. If Doncic decides to go 1, and that makes the draft interesting, because if the Kings somehow decide to slide and pass on Michael Porter Jr. On DeAndre Ayton, and Ayton falls to 3, the opening phone calls will begin for the Atlanta Hawks, because the Hawks will be in session about moving down, because they'll get the guy they want if they don't want Ayton at that pick. But to let you know about other things that can happen around the Kawhi Leonard, of course, we all know about the trade rumor of Kawhi Leonard. There have been teams that potentially could offer players. There's nothing been set in stone and set in concrete, even though Basketball Insiders did say that the Clippers would offer Tobias Harris in 12 or 13 for Kawhi Leonard. I think that's something I said a couple days ago on the podcast when I said, hey, Clippers, 12, 13 Tobias Harris should get this done for Kawhi Leonard quick, fast, in a hurry. Remember, Spurs wanted their time, but nobody else's time at the same time. So if you look at where the Spurs are looking at, as far as Kawhi Leonard options, like I said, the Lakers are his preferred choice because he's from the LA area. Don't sleep on the Clippers. His uncle, Dennis Pendleton, his uncle would prefer him playing in New York as an option. I think Brooklyn's a better fit for him because of his personality. He doesn't have to deal with the mainstream New York daily press, but he's still in the New York market with Brooklyn. Other teams that could be in this chase are the Boston Celtics, who can offer Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or a combination of other things. Plus, they have a potential 4 first-round picks next year, and they have their first-round pick this year, which is the end of the first round. The Philadelphia 76ers, a team that's interested in moving into the top 5, can offer the 10th overall pick and some players, which include Dario Saric, maybe Markelle Fultz, maybe Robert Covington, a package that can get Kawhi Leonard out of there into Philadelphia. Now, any other team I think could be a sleeper in this situation. Charlotte could be a sleeper if Jordan decides to trade Kemba Walker among other players. But mind you, I don't think Kawhi would sign the extension of Charlotte or among other teams. So Kawhi Leonard could be the guy that could be. He could be this year's Jimmy Butler, the star that's traded on draft night. I don't expect the Spurs to make this thing drag out much further. If it is a situation where Kawhi has to be traded, then yes, I think it'll be done on either before draft night or on draft night, because I think the Spurs want to be able to get some extra draft picks in this year's draft to try to rebuild this roster, and as they try to make a run. Remember, this team won 40. They won over 45 games this year with Kawhi Leonard only playing 9 games. So if you trade Kawhi Leonard and you get back able bodies, I'm sure that Coach Pop and that staff will get these guys ready, and they'll be a playoff team. The Spurs are always a playoff team. As long as Pop is behind the bench and they have able bodies that are actually decent basketball players, the Spurs are a playoff team almost every single year. Now, I got a question about the Orlando Magic. What are they going to do at 6? I think the top option is Trae Young. I think that Wendell Carter Jr. is also an option. But just in case of Mo Bamba or Jaren Jackson slide, it does make things interesting. Remember, the Magic drafted Jonathan Isaac without Isaac having one workout here. So if I really want to take a look at the big board and the stock of the draft, I'm thinking Trae Young 1. I think Wendell Carter 2. If someone slides to 6, I think whether it be Bamba or Jackson, I think one of those guys could be there. And if not, if something would be on the table, I think Colin Sexton will be the guy, or they'll move back on 6. So I think Trae Young's the pick. He fits all the boxes. Like I said, with Steve Clifford being the head coach, is so many similarities to Kemba Walker for me when I think of Trae Young and the type of system he would be put in, a lot of the pick and rolls, to help him get his shot off. So Trae Young is my guy if the Magic decides to keep the pick. So let me know your thoughts. I will have another podcast on Thursday and also on Wednesday, and also there'll be a Facebook Live I will do on Thursday before the draft. I'll have my good friend Philip Rockman Rice of Orlando Magic Daily is going to be rocking with me on the podcast. It's actually be a live Facebook stream. I will be doing it from the Amway Center on Thursday night. I think it'll be about 5:30. I'll let you guys know what's going on. Me and him will basically go over our versions of our mock drafts and, give our thoughts and opinions as we get closer to draft night. So follow us on Facebook at Around the Association. Check out the website, which is aroundtheassociation.com. The new article will be up tonight, as well as follow the show. Favorite on Spreaker as well as on iTunes, iHeartRadio. iTunes is coming soon, and you never know where we'll be at. So for Danny Thompson, for myself, Danny Thompson, this is AroundTheAssociation.com, the podcast. Catch you guys later.